So Charmed is back, and we have a lot to talk about. Hi guys, my name is Maria Park, and this is Approach the Nerd. And in this episode, we are talking Charmed, Season 3, Episode 1, the season premiere, entitled An Inconvenient Truth. This episode had a lot. It is a continuation of Season 2. So this is what would have aired before COVID hit. And so technically we're not officially in Season 3, but in the tail end of Season 2. So, a lot. But I must say, this is very HACY-centric. There's a lot of HACY scenes in there. I think the CW and the showrunners of Charmed were listening to us because they gave us a lot of HACY, and it's good HACY and not, I'm going to rip my hair out HACY. So we will get to that in a second. But Julian has lost his ever-loving mind, and he put out a social media video and is basically saying, I can't find basically my woman Macy Vaughn, but he doesn't say Vaughn, he says Macy Flores, which tells me that, unless I'm crazy, when we did the Season 3 trailer reaction, I am pretty sure that it said Macy Vaughn on the screen that Swan was looking at, but now it's Macy Flores. So I guess that was an editing boo-boo, and they fixed it before the season premiered, because I remember it saying Macy Vaughn. I'm just putting it out there. Good job, CW. But anyway, he puts this message out, and he offers $1 million to anyone that can find her or has any information on her location. So Macy's a wanted woman because Julian is after her after the events of, that happened when he saw them use magic and jump through the portal. Not good. So they're trying to figure out a way to deal with this. Maggie calls Jordan and basically tells him to stay away from them because, she's benching him because it's dangerous. And she also tells him to get out of safe space because, he's associated with them. So they may come after him, which I think is funny because that means he can't pay his rent anymore because that's where his job is. I'm just saying. Jordan is now unemployed, and the girl you like said you can't stay with them. So what you gonna do, boy? So just throwing that out there. Jordan's got a lot of problems. Jordan also is still dealing with the curse, and I'll get to that in a second. But back on the girls, Macy is looking through the Book of Elders and decides to try using this potion that's banned by the Elders called the Clarion Potion. And basically what it does, it plants a seed in the person's mind, and whoever they come in contact with, it spreads to them. So it's a mind virus. And Harry does say, the elders banned this. And Macy's like, well, that was the elders. So I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm like, now I know that the elders were crap, but sometimes I think some things that they do and, were probably for a good reason. So the girls aren't listening to that. And so they decide they're going to make this potion. Mel suggests using Jimmy to get to Julian. And so she's going to interrogate him to try and figure out what Julian's motives are, and pretty much try and figure out what's going on with the faction. And simultaneously, Harry is still trying to get Maggie to erase all of his feelings for Macy. And Macy sees them mumbling something in the hallway, so she gets an idea that something shady is going on. And you kind of hear Maggie say, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not really good at my powers. I don't have good control, yada, yada, yada. I don't know if Maggie was trying to back out because she really thought she might do some damage or because she really didn't want to do that to her sister. I'm hoping that it's because she didn't want to do that to her sister, but I don't know. But anyway, so Macy she doesn't overhear it, but she sees it. And so now she's got this question mark of what the hell in her head, which comes into play a little bit later on. Okay, so Jordan, basically the tulip witch appears in the mirror. She freezes everything in the room and the glass. So she's there. She basically tells him he has to save a descendant of a descendant. So a tulip witch descendant. And he has this hourglass. And she said before the last grain, hits, he has to accomplish this mission. So Jordan's on a mission to find a tulip witch, which he does. And I will tell you who helps him in a minute. I'm trying to roll through this so we can get all of this stuff out of the way and I can ask all my questions. So Macy, still going through the book, decides that, or finds out that she needs to have a fresh siren's tongue. And I love how, like, willing she is to get this siren's tongue. It's like, they cut out the tongue of a siren, right? Like, it's pretty effed up. But she's like, let's go get a siren's tongue. Which they do. So they basically have this place that's almost like Diagon Alley in Charmed. And it's crazy because when they're getting ready to go, first of all, they don't have conventional money, so they have to use like something valuable, worldly, I guess, possession to use as money in this magical, shady black market called Ragnarok. So Harry grabs Julian's necklace, which I thought was self-serving in a way. Harry's like, this man gave my woman this necklace. You mind if we use this as credit? And she was like, yeah, for a great cause. And you can see Harry like smile, like, yeah, get that damn necklace out of here. So I thought that was really funny. But so they have to do like a wardrobe change. They can't just go the way they're dressed. So he describes it something like safari apocalypse, style. Never heard of that, but Macy seemed on board with that, and she's a potion, and they were dressed like they were going to a safari, and they teleport there. Right before they go there, Harry makes a comment saying it's going to smell really bad, so they kind of lift up their like scarves over their nose. But when they get there, they're not on their nose anymore. I don't know if that was an editing boo-boo or what, but I just thought that was really funny. And they don't actually react to the smell into another scene. So whatever, must not have smelled that bad initially, but I just thought that was really, really funny. And then they meet this, like, I'm just going to call him a witch blood dealer, because he like has all these vials of witch blood that he tries to sell them. And Macy's like, oh, don't worry, I already have a lot of them at home, which is true. She has 2 sisters that have witch blood like her. So she wasn't lying. They're not in the vials, but she does have a lot of witch blood at home. And they tell, him that they're looking for fresh siren tongue. And so he's like, well, I'll help you find it. I'll take you to somebody who, deals that, but it will come at a cost. And so Harry's like, oh, you want our souls then, right? Or you just want to walk in our bodies all day? And then the dealer's like, no, weirdo, I want something worldly, or one of your worldly possessions. And I'm like, Harry made that really dark. But he did want souls. He didn't want their souls. He wanted the souls off of Harry's feet. He wanted his shoes. And they were nice shoes. So, I mean, they traded, and Harry got these shoes that were probably 10,000 years old with these holes that probably smelled to high heaven. But, it was for a good cause. But the guy ends up running off with the diamond necklace and stuff when he leads him into this room. Right when Macy and Harry are having a conversation about their relationship. And what I loved about this scene is that Harry had the option to lie to Macy when she calls him out saying, what were you and Maggie talking about? But instead, he actually tells her what was going on. That, his white lighter duties have to come before their romantic relationship. And he couldn't live with himself if something happened and she ended up dying. And, he just kind of feels like their feelings for each other, even though he doesn't want them to go away, will get in the way. And Macy is like, boy, please. Like, you see all the crap we went through in season 2? I ain't got time for that. I don't care about all this stuff. I want you. She's like, there's no point in living if all you do is worry about dying. And I'm like, I love the evolution of Macy. She went from being mortified, basically, or ashamed of having feelings for her white lighter, to kind of not really knowing how she felt, to now, like, that's my man. He needs to get on board with that. That's how it's going to be. And I was really happy that Harry didn't fight her more on this. He actually kind of came around in this episode. We finally, as fans, are getting the HACY that we've been trying to get for forever. So if this episode accomplished anything for me, it is that we have HACY. And they are willing to work on their relationship, and it's not going to be, obviously there's going to be obstacles. Of course there is. This is Charmed. But now they are actually starting to act more like a couple who wants to be together and not all this BS. And Harry not lying to her and saying something like, oh, well, me and Maggie were talking about how to handle the faction, or, talking about spells we can use that are dangerous, or maybe even saying something like trying to see how Maggie could use her powers on Julian. Instead of saying all of these things, or not saying all these things, or not using any excuses, he actually comes out and says, what he was thinking. And Macy's like, oh, you're going to ask Maggie to use her powers on me or on you to make your feelings for me go away. So I'm proud. HACY gets gold star today. So they do catch up with the witch blood dealer and Macy. So he tells Harry, you can't use your powers down here. And Macy just punches him and then says, you better give me that fresh siren, tongue. I'm not playing with you. And Harry's like, yeah, she's not playing with you. I thought it was such a cute scene. That whole scene was very cute. So I was excited to see that. So let's go to Mel, my favorite character in Charmed. Mel is upset about being stuck in witchness protection. She is angry. She is allowing Jimmy to trigger her because they have him in the attic and they have this force field around him. And he was even like, take this force field down. Let's see who's stronger. And she's about to do it. She is so stir crazy and angry over breaking up with Ruby and really breaking up with everyone she's been in a relationship so far because of her witch powers or being a charmed one and all their circumstances, that she is just fed up. And we get the most hilarious scenes because of this. Mel's going back there to take on Jimmy. Maggie grabs her hand and says, you need to chill. And girl, when she 180'd, she was like, everything's peachy. And she's like, she goes and gets flowers and she's putting them in this vase and she decides to bake cookies. And Maggie's like, what the hell? And so she realizes that she broke her sister. And so she tried to fix it. So she tried to use her powers on her again, but then she made her emo. She was like grabbing ruffles and she's like, I'll be on the couch. Like so funny. And then when she tried to fix her again, she ended up giving her hope, which is not a bad thing actually. But the fact that she had to get there through artificial means that will more than likely wear off was really funny because she was still extremely happy. But that gave Maggie the idea to offer Jimmy a deal. If he helps them, because he's not helping, he's not basically giving them any information on Julian or the faction. He only told them that there was one word that motivates Julian, but he wouldn't tell them what it is because they won't let him out of the force field. And so he's using it as a bargaining chip. But when, Mel got all that hope, Maggie's like, let's give Jimmy hope. And so they go up and they make a deal and they tell him, if you tell us the word, then we have a way to make it so you can live a better life where everybody will see you, in a different way and everyone will see you differently. And they convinced him to do this. So he gives them the word and the word is Rosemary, which just happens to be Julian's sister. And so they made the potion, the Clarion potion, to give to Julian. And they go and tell, Harry and Macy, who are now back from evil Diagon Alley, about Rosemary. And then Macy recognizes the name and says, oh, that's Julian's sister. So they decide to call Julian. And when he answers the phone, after Julian gets the news that his sister is not waking up and nothing has changed since, that one time she woke up with Aunt Viv and him in the room, Macy's like, oh, I know about Rosemary. And he's like, how do you know that? And then, she's like, are you with, Rosemary now? And, Harry just basically kidnaps him and takes him back to the manor. Well, Macy confronts him and she's got the potion, the Clarion potion, in her hand. And then he starts talking about magical, how magical creatures could help change and save the world. He's basically swallowed the Kool-Aid that Aunt Viv has given him. And so Macy decides not to give him the potion and to actually try and solve this with science, because she's a scientist. So she set out to prove that Aunt Viv has done something to make Rosemary appear to wake up, just so, Julian will keep doing the evil bidding with her that he doesn't realize he's doing evil bidding on. He doesn't realize he's an accomplice to evil, basically. So she's set out to go and prove that the sister's not actually getting better and Aunt Viv just did something, which really makes Viv effed up. But we know this. We know she's effed up. We know that she's evil. We know that she doesn't care. She just wants magic because she saw it. She wants it. Being super rich isn't enough for her. She wants magic. So, Macy comes up with a plan to go to Rosemary's room and try to prove it. Now, when they get there, of course, Harry's like, "Are you going to use magic?" And she's like, "No, I'm not going to use magic. I'm going to use science." So, because again, scientists. So she basically tells the theory that she thinks there's like this sedative, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. I have notes. I'm trying to remember what the name of this drug is because I thought I wrote it down because there's a lot of information in this episode. But she is testing. I know it's a sedative that works in reverse on a comatose patient. It makes them seem like they're, basically waking up, but they're not. They're actually still very much in a coma. Zolpidem is that name of it. And it induces illusion of lucidity, basically. And so she goes to test Rosemary's blood on that machine, the analytical machine that Aunt Viv had showed Macy way before when they were trying to test Harry's blood to see how to separate, Jimmy and Harry and how to, and how to save Jimmy or how to save Harry back when he was poisoned, basically. So they're running the tests. This is where it gets interesting. So I love the nitpick. I can't help it because that's what you do with the reviews. Don't just talk about the positive. So as paranoid as Aunt Viv is, and as paranoid technically as Julian possibly is, and the entire freaking faction, why didn't they think when Harry and Macy teleported in there to look for surveillance cameras? I'm just asking. They don't. So that's how Aunt Viv knows that they're in the room because she's watching it. And she gets, a helicopter, and the faction's on their way basically to take care of Harry and Macy. Second question. Does the machine no longer work if it's outside of the hospital room? Because I remember Macy using it and borrowing it and using it back at the manor. Why did they not teleport with the machine? Instead of waiting, it's like the results are like 93%. 95%. And Harry's like, we gotta go. They're gonna be here. We gotta go. And I'm like, just up and take the machine with you. I'm like, teleport with the machine. I'm sorry. I had to find something. So anyway, the counter's going down. It's like 98%. They're almost at the door. And then, Aunt Viv and them busted the door. And then Harry and Macy are gone. And Aunt Viv sees the machine. But luckily, Macy still was able to get a picture of, the results and show Julian that the zolpidem was actually found in his sister's blood, meaning that she actually is not getting better and did not wake up, and that Aunt Viv actually just lied to get him to stay on her side. So now Julian's going to help the Charmed Ones, or at least that's what he's saying. So let's get back to Jordan. Jordan goes and finds Abigail, and girl is a mess. She's eating cold pizza. She's drinking. She says, I'm pathetic. I don't even have enemies, And Jordan basically wants her to help find a Tulip descendant. And he asks her to look in her book of witches. And so she does. And then she finds one named Eleanor Anderson, who basically is imprisoned by an ogre. She also offers to help, Jordan find her. So whenever she looked at him and she said that, I'm like, okay, she wants something, because Abigail's very helpful to the Charmed Ones, but she sometimes wants things she wants things in return. But I love Abigail and I want her with Mel, so it's fine. So they go to like they teleport into, I don't think they teleport, and I don't think she can do that with him. They arrive at, it looks like an art gallery. I'm pretty sure it's an art gallery that has one of those huge safes that you see in the bank. And they go through and they find this painting. And first they hear this noise through the safe. And then Abigail's, able to use a potion to open it. And one of the lines that I love, Jordan talks about, it must be hard pretending not to care, or have a heart, 365 days out of the year. And she's like, well, I'm not pretending. He's like, yeah, sure you're not. That's why you're drinking away your pain and stuff all day. So I love how he called her out on that. But they hear this noise before she does that, like moaning or like cries for help. So they go in and they say all of these paintings. And then there's one specific painting that kind of reminds me of the episode in OG Charmed. I can't remember what season it is, but it's pretty early on where Prue and Piper get trapped in a painting. And then Phoebe has to get them out before the house that they're in. It's a painting of their house burns down. It kind of reminded me of that, but Eleanor is in the painting. So they grab the painting and off the wall. We never see the ogre, so I guess the ogre is just, even though the alarm goes off when they remove the painting, he's just not fast enough to get there. But we never see it. So it's a very, to me, it was a flawless, rescue. Because there was really no, like, there really wasn't a barrier to entry in that. They just got it and then they, were out. And then back at Abigail's place, she uses this celandine flower that, releases Eleanor from the window of the house that she's trapped in the painting. And then the hourglass that Jordan has is reset to full again. I don't know how many descendants he has to save so they're satisfied with this curse, but at least he's made progress with Abigail. But then Abigail drops a bombshell. She says, now I want something in return. So he's thinking it's the hourglass or he wants to use the painting against the charm one. She's like, no, I want you to get a message to my sister. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, you have another damn sibling? I'm like, what is going on in this world? So the only thing I can think of is I don't think that Alistair has another daughter. I think that it's her mother's, daughter with another man. So she probably has either a full witch sister or a half witch sister out there somewhere with a different father. So interesting. I don't know what she wants with her sister, why she wants to get her sister a message. But yeah, I am very excited to see what that's about, because that opens up another avenue of stuff, especially with this whole magic war going on. So I'm really, really excited about that. And so the whole thing with Jimmy, they actually, they do what they say. They give him, the potion that they were going to basically give to Julian. And when they release him, he just takes it. I mean, I like how he looked at the Clarion potion at first. He was like, you could be lying. He looked and he's like, meh. And he just starts drinking it, and they release the force field. And then he wakes up in London. And when he wakes up, there's a police officer, and he's like, are you okay, sir? And then Jimmy looks at him and says, my name's Jimmy. I'm a good guy. And he's like, yeah, you're a good guy, And so now everywhere he goes, people are going to think that he's a good guy. My only problem with this is that I know there's a reason that the elders banned this Clarion potion, and that's probably because there is a side effect. And Jimmy is a dark lighter. He has a dark nature. So eventually his true nature will overpower the suggestion for him. But doesn't that mean that he will do horrible things and then people around him will just let him do it and there'll be no repercussions because he'll just say things like, I'm a good guy? Probably even around the charm ones if they're not immune to it. So I think they effed up with that. I really do. I think that is going to come back later on and bite them in the ass. And that is my opinion on that. And then the last thing that we see is Vivian getting a suitcase from one of her faction minions, and Nadia's there. And they open it up and there's this green light is shining through it. And she's like, Nadia says, well, now all of humanity can have magic. And then Viv says, no, we can basically have magic. And so Viv told the guy he can't tell anybody about what they have. So it's just going to be a bunch of crap. It's not good. What is in the suitcase is not good. I have a theory on what it is, but I'm going to hold out and see what you guys think in the comments. But yeah. Things are about to get really real. And Viv is evil as hell. And I am glad that Julian is seeing it, but I don't know if he's going to have to play double agent now, because I don't think he can just go to Aunt Viv and be like, you lying heifer. My sister didn't wake up. You gave her an effing sedative to make me work for you. That is BS. I don't think that's how that conversation is going to go down. So he's going to help from the inside, but I think it's going to either get him killed or worse. And when I say worse, there are things the faction can do to him that are worse than death. So, yeah. So, I'm happy about HACY. I'm glad that Jordan has gotten more time in his hourglass that we now know he has. He succeeded in rescuing a descendant. So, maybe he is on track to finally get rid of this curse. I'm going to say it again. HACY, HACY, HACY. I will be happy when we have Abigail back with the girls, because I'm telling you, there is so much chemistry with Abigail and Mel, and I really need that to happen because Mel is so brokenhearted over breaking up with Ruby, and they weren't even together long. I mean, they went from like, I'm just gonna be crude about it. They were a one night stand to booty call to a mini relationship, and she's so affected by that because she's so lonely, being such stuck in witchness protection. But I mean, her track record on romance is horrible. I mean, Nico, then Jada, now Ruby. You know, it's like no Kat. I can't really say Kat. Kat was like a millisecond, so I can't really go by that. And really, it only seems like Kat was there to give them the shop that they never go to anymore. Just throwing that out there. But she has a horrible track record with relationships, and it makes me sad because, you know, Maggie has Parker, and Parker's going to love Maggie forever. And now she has Jordan. She has two guys that basically would do anything for her, even though Parker was more of the dark side. Both of these guys were devoted to her. Macy had, you know, Gavin, who sacrificed himself, you know, to save others and her. And now has Harry, who would do the exact same thing. But Mel has nobody. She is the most gypped person in the Charmed universe, in my opinion. I feel so bad for her. I really do. So I really need her and Abigail to get together and work out, because I just feel like, to me, that would be like a good redemption arc for Abby and a good romance redemption arc for Mel. So there's that. I'm really hoping we explore more of the Inception powers that Maggie has, because I'm liking what she's doing. And I love how there's different color schemes. Like when she said cool off, it was blue. You know, it's like there's different, it seems to be different colors for different, you know, emotions. And then they're actually showing that visually. And I thought that was very cool. I do like the fact that Julian is now on their side. I just don't know. I mean, it can go either way. I mean, I hate to say it, I really think he's going to end up getting killed. Because in the Charm universe, somebody has to die, and it's normally not the main, you know, girls. Although, in the trailer, we did see somebody clearing off a tombstone with Melanie's name on it, Melanie Vera. But, to be fair, that could still be back, you know, in Michigan, in their old hometown. And that could be Nico. It could be anybody else that was really, you know, connected to them. So, you know, I'm not putting too much stock in that actually being a current event, and that could be more of a tie-in to their old lives. So I'm just throwing that out there, because we never got to see how people reacted to them finding out the girls blew up in their house. So that would be interesting to have a story about that, and who knows, that might be what we see in season 3. So I'm not going to put that I'm not putting Mel on the chopping block, and I don't really think that, you know, since Mel is going to be in the series, I don't really think she's going to die, and if she does, it would never be permanent, because then we wouldn't have the Charm ones. So not too concerned about that. But yeah, and this whole thing with Jimmy, like I said, the whole thing with Jimmy, I think is going to bite him in the ass. So, so many things, guys. So many things. So I want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you would like to sign up for jury duty, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to know who's next on their bell, hit the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it, but hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.